This video explains why economics is a subject haunted by fallacies, more than any other study known to man. According to the narrator, the inherent difficulties of the subject would be great enough in any case, but they are multiplied 1,000-fold by a factor that is insignificant in other subjects like physics, mathematics, or medicine: the special pleading of selfish interests. The narrator explains that while every group has certain economic interests identical to those of all groups, every group has interests that are antagonistic to those of all other groups. He further explains that while certain public policies would, in the long run, benefit everybody, other policies would benefit one group only at the expense of all other groups. The group that would benefit by such policies, having such a direct interest in them, will argue for them plausibly and persistently, hire the best viable minds to present its case, and will finally either convince the general public that its case is sound, or so befuddle it that clear thinking on the subject becomes next to impossible. In addition to the pleadings of self-interest, there is a persistent tendency of men to see only the immediate effects of a given policy or its effects only on a special group, and to neglect to inquire what the long-run effects of that policy will be, not only on that special group but on all groups. This tendency spawns new economic fallacies every day, and it is the fallacy of overlooking secondary consequences. The narrator notes that the distinction between good economics and bad economics lies in the fact that the good economist looks beyond the immediate effects of a proposed course and also looks at the longer and indirect consequences. The good economist inquires what the effect of a policy will be on all groups. Unfortunately, the bad economist sees only what immediately strikes the eye. He sees only the direct consequences of a proposed course, and he sees only what the effect of a given policy has been or will be on one particular group. The narrator points out that in the field of public economics, elementary truths are ignored. He gives examples of brilliant economists who deprecate saving and recommend squandering on a national scale as the way of economic salvation. When anyone points to what the consequences of these policies will be in the long run, they reply flippantly, "In the long run, we are all dead." The narrator notes that the tragedy is that, on the contrary, we are already suffering the long-run consequences of the policies of the remote or recent past. The narrator concludes that the whole of economics can be reduced to a single lesson, and that lesson can be reduced to a single sentence. The art of economics consists of looking not merely at the immediate but at the longer effects of any act or policy. It consists of tracing the consequences of that policy not merely for one group but for all groups. The narrator notes that 9/10 of the economic fallacies that are working such dreadful harm in the world today are the result of ignoring this lesson. These fallacies all stem from one of two central fallacies, or both: that of looking only at the immediate consequences of an act or proposal, and that of looking at the consequences only for a particular group to the neglect of other groups. The narrator further notes that while it is true that in considering a policy, we should not concentrate only on its long-run results to the community as a whole, the most frequent fallacy today is to concentrate on the short-run effects of policies on special groups and to ignore or belittle the long-run effects on the community as a whole. The narrator concludes that in themselves ignoring or slighting the long-run effects, we are making the far more serious error. Subscribe Libertarian Facts.